We've got some great mailbag questions about possible trade targets on the blue line for the Islanders, plus a full preview of tonight's game in Detroit against the Red Wings. All that and more coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could join us today to talk a little Islanders hockey. Always a pleasure. Gil Martin, glad to be with you, and thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Plenty going on today's show. We have a couple of mailbag questions that listeners sent in. One of them regarding possible that the Islanders could trade for, and that's been something we've been discussing on the show for quite some time. Another one has to do with the role of enforcers in the modern NHL. Plus, we have a full preview of tonight's game against Detroit, and a goaltender who had a brief career with the Islanders will be our Islanders birthday of the day. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to talk about, feel free to email the show. The email address is lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we'll mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You could also follow the show on Twitter @LockedOnIsles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter @Ice Wars, NYR VSNYI, and we'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. Before we even get to the two mailbag questions, one thing I definitely did want to touch on, Anthony Beauvillier, who was benched, as we talked about on yesterday's show, sat out the game against the Devils. Still no word as of now, the time I'm recording this on Monday evening, as to whether or not that the Islanders and Barry Trotz will be putting Anthony Beauvillier back in the lineup. We will keep you up to date via Twitter as to whether or not that's going to happen as soon as we hear something. But realistically, you know, the Islanders have not won 2 games in a row since that, since the 11-game winless streak started. Now they've won 2 games since then, but not back-to-back. I don't know whether or not Barry Trotz will try to make a change after the team responded and scored 4 goals, got their first win, or whether or not he wants to say, hey, Anthony Beauvillier, message delivered. Let's see how you respond. And look, unfortunately, there are plenty of other players on this roster who similarly have been struggling. Now, Zach Parise finally got his first goal against the Devils. Doubt they bench him now. Do you also go out there and think about benching a Kyle Palmieri, a Josh Bailey, who's picked up some assists lately? But, plenty of guys out there who are struggling offensively, and we have to see whether or not, they put Beauvillier back in the lineup, and if they do take Beauvillier out, who comes back in? Let's get to our mailbag questions. And again, lockedonislanders@gmail.com if you want to send us some mail. This one is from Ken in Minnesota. Ken writes, "Hi, Gil. Thinking back over the last number of years, I thought the league was trending toward a more finesse game, and the days of needing enforcers were coming to an end. Then we saw what happened with the Rangers and their turnover toward a more physical lineup. And this year, all the injuries that have come by way of questionable hits and penalties, slew foots, knee on knee, and such. Originally, I wondered about the Islanders' signing of Ross Johnston and whether or not it was wise. In hindsight, I find myself reevaluating and possibly justifying the need for such players in the lineup with the penchant of the dirty play that seems to have reared its head again. Interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Ken in Minnesota." Ken, first off, thank you very much for the email. with regard to the question, I think the Islanders kind of have it right. And, you look at the Rangers and what they did during the offseason, there's a fine line. And I think the difference between the NHL 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and even further back and now is that there really is no room on a roster for a guy who can just fight. You still have the need for physicality in this league. And the Rangers, as a team, didn't have that last year. Now they do. They have a fourth line they put out there that makes them, as the hockey expression goes, tougher to play against. And the Islanders have guys like that. Cal Clutterbuck is not typically a fighter, but he'll go out there and dig in the corners and be physical and play the body and take a hit to make a play. He'll get that job done for the Islanders. Obviously, Casey Cizikas, Matt Martin, but the enforcer role is, Ross Johnston, as you mentioned. And I think the Islanders have it right. Ross Johnston is the kind of player who is not going to play more than, let's say, 10, 11 minutes a game maximum, is not going to play in all 82 games. But there are certain games that you want a guy like Ross Johnston out on the ice. And when he gets hot and plays well, he's capable of contributing, whether it's forechecking, whether it's throwing the body, whether it's the occasional pass or goal. So fighting, I think, not being completely phased out of hockey, but those deliberate staged, I'll call them, fights are very, very limited now. And the idea of having a player who can just fight but really can't do much else, those days are gone. I think the Islanders overpaid Ross Johnston, but the idea of having Ross Johnston on this team is definitely a good one. So thanks again for that question. This next question is from Ben. Ben says, I've been listening and reading what I can coming out of the States about the current Islanders situation, and it seems to swing between the need for a sniper, an offensive-oriented player, to a defensive puck carrier like Nick Leddy. Realistically, what are the options? I know Lou Lamoriello doesn't like to rush the situation, but it seems to be getting more urgent. Ideally, who is on the table and who is a likely target? If they can only get one, which one do they target, the defenseman or the sniper? I could see a situation where we get a strong offensive player who just doesn't adapt well to the defensive play style, and this affects their ability to produce offense. Interested in your thoughts on this following the loss to Nashville. Hopefully the boys can bounce back. Time difference means I start my Sunday morning by watching it live, and that is from Ben. Ben, thank you again for the email. I think your point about the Islanders not going out to get a guy who is just a goal scorer is valid. And I think that even if this team adds a 25, 30 goal scorer, that player is going to have to sacrifice their statistics a little bit to play defensive hockey and to fit into this system. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And it's going to disrupt the locker room. And it's just not going to be something that Barry Trotz and Lou Lamoriello want to do. I think that the odds are better at this point that the Islanders go the defenseman route. I think that is more of the team. They feel like the transition game who could skate the puck out of danger or pass the puck out of danger and make the transition work smoothly. Guys who maybe look at teams that are struggling a little bit, that be surefire sellers before So I look at like Chikrin, still only 3 years old. Certainly a good skater, can be a top 4 defenseman, give you 22, 23 minutes a night. Obviously, he would want out of Arizona for what the price would be mostly picks, because the guys are in a full salary cap. It is $4.6 million. So I have to go to free up a little cap space part of that deal. So either a contending team player who, and defensively costs as much. He's only got a white as a third player who I would think about is, he's a free agent, Stuck's playing 27, still, one of those guys who's in his prime, and yet injury history, missed a lot. Overall, a versatile guy, can kill penalties, can be on the second power play, the skating, but give up another first round for rent, sure, that's the deal. More players will become a video game, so we'll certainly 3 names if they will have a full preview of tonight's game in Detroit, plus a whole lot more still to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. I'll tell you, I have both given Omaha Steaks as a gift and received them, and whenever I give them, people love them. And I'll tell you, when I got them, nothing makes the holiday season tastier than Omaha Steaks. The holidays are around the corner, and finding the perfect gift is tricky, but Omaha Steaks makes it easy to send friends and family that unforgettable gift that is guaranteed to be loved. Go to omahasteaks.com and enter NHL into the search bar to order the perfect gift package. For $99.99, you'll get 24 entrees like the world-famous bacon wrap filet mignon, chicken breasts, sides, desserts, and so much more. And when you use the code NHL, you also get 8 Omaha Steak burgers free with your order. We've heard all the reports about shortages and shipping delays, so don't wait. Order the perfect gift package today at omahasteaks.com, and you'll get 8 free burgers when entering the code NHL. Achieve gifting greatness with Omaha Steaks. Incredible flavor, incredible value, and 100% guaranteed. omahasteaks.com, keyword NHL. This episode is also brought to you by Boost Mobile. You listen to podcasts for the power of the inside track. You switch to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money, because with Boost, you get the power of a free 5G phone so you can listen to the latest episodes and keep up with your favorite players and teams. The power of 3 unlimited data lines for $30 a month per line so your family can share all the insights, and the power of one of America's largest 5G networks so you could do it all at the speed of 5G. With all that money you'll save and all that edge you'll gain, just how powerful will you become? Switch to Boost Mobile and find out. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A32 5G when you switch to one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save, Boost Mobile. Free phone limited to new custom per line. Additional restrictions apply. Offers and coverage not available everywhere or for all phones and networks. See boostmobile.com for details. So the Islanders will be in tonight to take on the Red Wings, second meeting of the season between these two teams. Red Wing won the first one by a score of 4-3 back on December 4th. And Detroit, maybe the Islanders are catching them at the right. Lost 3 in a row, and all of them decisively. Lost to the Predators at home 5-2. Lost in St. Louis 6-2. In Colorado 7-3. They are well rested. Have not played since December 10th. That's 3 days off in between games. And now they're back in Detroit to host the Islanders. And will we see Tomas Greiss against his former team, or will it be Alex Nedeljovic? We'll see. But right now, Nedeljovic 8 and 3 overtime losses at 2.81 goals against and a 9.15 save percentage. Greiss struggling a little bit more, 5.6, but a 3.67 goals against and an 8.89 save percentage. Right now, Lucas Raymond is the leading scorer on the Red Wings, 10 goals, 24 points. Dylan Larkin, 10 goals, 22 points. Tyler Bertuzzi, who has missed some games after coming down with COVID, 9 goals and 18 points in 20 games. And Vladislav Nemestikov with 9 goals and 15 points. So, there is some goal scoring on this. The problem for Detroit has been defensive. They're 18th, which is a little bit below the middle in goals scored, but they are 28th in the league in goals against. And special teams have hurt the Red Wings all season. Power play is 26th out of 32 teams, just a 16.2% conversion rate. And the penalty kill is 25th with a 76.5% success rate. So on both sides of special teams, has struggling, and hopefully the Islanders will be able to take full advantage of that. And it's again, an opportunity. Special teams were a part of the ISS against the Devils. And again, replicate, it'll make things a lot better for this team. We look at the line combinations for the Red Wings. Dylan Larkin, the top line center. Tyler Bertuzzi, Lucas Raymond were on his wings. Pius Suter centers Vladislav Nemestikov and Robbie Fabry on the second line. The third line was Michael Rasmussen with Adam Ern and Philip Zadina on his wings. Carter Roney, Joe Valeno, and Sam Gagne on either side of him. On defense, the top pairing, Nick Leddy, a person we've talked about a lot. He is on the second pair with Philip Roenick, and then Jordan Osterley and Gustav Lindstrom make up the third pairing. Now, again, a lot of injuries. Bertuzzi is expected back from the COVID list. He was on IR. Jacob Verana, Troy Stetcher, Mitchell Stevens, Mark Stahl, and Gustav Lindstrom also have been out of the lineup, and see whether or not they are back. But for the Islanders, right now and winning this game and starting building. Now, the Islanders wins 11 losses this season, and they are 5 points behind Flyers, behind the Devils. They have 3 games in hand on both of those teams. You got to start putting together wins. And, they have won 2 of the last 3. They have points right now in 5 of their last. It would be huge for this team to start putting things together and to, get wins and take that confidence to another level. We saw how excited Zach Parise was to get off the schneid and score his first goal. I know the Islanders can get things going if they just get a little momentum. The question is, can they do it? And beating Detroit is a golden opportunity to do just that. We'll see if they can get it done. We've got more to come on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. We'll have our Islanders birthday of the day, a goalie who didn't have a long career with the Islanders, but was at one point a highly regarded prospect. That and a lot more still to come. Locked On Islanders podcast. Want to talk to you a little bit about Stance. And, Stance is just really super soft, entirely unique. The apparel is special. It's fun to wear. And, it gives you a sense of confidence simply because you look good and you feel good. And I was a skeptic at first. You hear all these ads all the time, and I was like, yeah, okay, everybody says that. But then I got Stance as a gift, and I'll tell you, I was sold on it because it really, really is good clothing that's comfortable and unique. Founded in 2009, Stance Apparel represents a radical reinvention of socks, underwear, and active apparel. With a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity, Stance brings an atypical aesthetic alongside some of pop culture's hottest collaborators for the ultimate in style and self-expression, because everything you wear should be a direct extension of who you are and how you feel. I mean, some of the collaborators: Wu-Tang Clan, Batman, Goonies, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Disney, Bob Marley, Major League Baseball, the NBA, so many things that there really is something for everyone. And Stance believes that the perfect fit matters more than fitting in, that those who feel good do good. Go see for yourself. Register for an account at stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase by using the promo code LOCKEDON, one word, at checkout to apply. Enjoy the color and the comfort of life less ordinary with Stance. Time now for our Islanders birthday of, and I'll tell you, obscure back, but Sunday was the 52nd day of former Islander Rens, of Columbia, third round pick of the Islanders back in 1988, junior hockey with the Seattle Thunderbirds of the WHL. Made the Islanders debut in 1990-91, and a few games each year in 1992 and 1993. Continued in the minors and in a bunch of different leagues, from hockey league, all the way through to 2003, 2004, but only played in 8 games in the NHL, all of them with the Islanders, and had a 4.20 goals against average and an 856 save percentage. We're going to go back, and Renz is 9 Igloo in Pittsburgh. Islanders, the Danny Penguins scored first, 640. Ulf Samuelsson and Tom Barrasso. That made the Islanders down 1-0, but they answered late in the period. Benoit Hoth, unassisted at 46 after the first period. Islanders and Penguins. But the Islanders' special teams made a difference in the second period, and a pair of shorthanded goals coming, one early in the period, one late in the period. First, with Travis Green off for interference, a shorty. His third from Hogue and Scott LaChance at 4:23. And with Vladimir Malakov off for tripping, Pat Hatley, another headed goal. The year. LaChance again, that one at 19 of the second period after 40 minutes, 3. And the Penguins won. But Pittsburgh, such an explosive offensive team, they get back into the game early on in the third. Kevin Stevens is 25th from Matt Samuelsson at 7:44. It's a 1-goal game, but a minute seconds after the Stevens goal, David Valla answers for the Islanders, hit from Del Garno. That made it 4-2, and at 11:26, Yar gets his second of the game, 16th of the year. Ron Francis and Jim Peck with the assists. But after that, Lorenz closes the door on the Penguins He had 31 save in this one and earned what would be his only win in the Hockey League. Islanders beat the Pen 4-3. 2 goals, both of them shorthanded for Pat Flatley. Benoit Hogue, a goal and an assist. Scott LaChance with 2 hours. And, you know, not a lot of people may remember Danny Lorentz and his NHL career wasn't all that long, but you know what? On this day, he beat a team of Hall of Famers, John Francis, Jaromir, Mario Lemieux, and Larry Murphy. Some really great players. Rick Tocchet, Tom Barrasso. Got to give him credit for that. And Danny Lorentz, a belated happy 50th. He is our under birthday. Game tonight in Detroit, 7:30 face-off, hoping the Islanders can keep the winning going and then playing more consistent hockey than, you know, icing an AHL team or half an AHL roster. Here's the NHL just recently shut down the Calgary Flames with, I think it was 6 COVID cases. And I know a lot of Islander fans complained about that, but you know what? NHL, you know, should have Islanders down sooner. Let's say that the Islanders paid the price, but at least the league seems to be learning and adapting, and hopefully they contain any outbreak that I will be live tonight's game again at Schwartz NYR vs NYI. Definitely check with fans. Listen every day. Now make your listen Locked On Bets. It's your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. It's hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.